She was on that stuff, forced to give up her youngest child because of the crazy lifestyle that she lived, all before the age of 19. Let's talk about it. Hey, y'all, this is Dot, and I have been exposing some of the people who have made it their business to be my enemy in a one sided rivalry when all I wanted to have was just a loving, stable, supportive family. This older family member of mine, female, um, I didn't really know her growing up. I literally she just she popped up out of the blue when my mother passed and came to her funeral, and then she had been in my life from about 11, which is when my mother passed, to about 24, I'll say. Maybe 24. Let's say 24. Um she came out of nowhere. Um she Over the years, she cleaned herself up, which is great. I salute her for that, because to get off of hard drugs is extremely difficult. She cleaned herself up. She got and secured a job. She got and secured an apartment, and she was a single mother to just one child. And believe me, I know that if she had two children, that it would have been much more difficult for her to do, instead of, having one child. So I get why she did it. The thing is, and oh my goodness, I actually applaud this part, because when I first got to know her, when I was older, I admired a lot about her. And I just want to take some time to talk about that. So, the things I admire about my older female relative is that she was very strategic. She was very good with money. She used to do a lot of shopping, but she would always shop whenever. Sorry, I was interrupted. Whenever she would go shopping, she would use a bunch of coupons, discounts, etc., or whatever, so that she could make sure that she's stretching her dollar, and just after, like, whatever disposable income she had, she made sure that it was stretched. You know what I'm saying? But of course, the bills and stuff was always paid first, and I really admired her with that regard. Also, she drove really nice vehicles. Not like Mercedes Benz or anything like that, but she drove vehicles that were practical. They were nice, like actual, like, good condition cars and stuff. And she dressed nice and all of that. And so I admired, like, her ability to, like, to keep herself up, and things like that, especially as a older woman. And so I went to actually stay with her for a few months after I graduated from school or whatever. A chain of events happened. I ended up staying with her. And she ended up, helping me get a job opportunity, actually, like right after, like literally right after college, and which was such a blessing. But here comes the turn of events. As I was staying with her, um, I started to get the energy that she didn't like me. And I couldn't quite pinpoint exactly what was going on, because this is an aunt that I admired. I love this. Sorry, I already told the placement of the person, but forget it. But I really loved this woman, like, and I admired her, and I just thought that she was like a great person. Like, of course, everybody has flaws and stuff, but I noticed like little weird things. Like, first, she wouldn't, she would take as actual slights like my type of sense of humor, which I get it. Like, not everybody finds everyone's sense of humor funny, but it's really weird because everyone around her would understand the joke and things like that, but she would take the jokes as a personal attack. And I'll give you an example. So, like, I grew up in a household where me and like my grandparents and stuff or whatever would really like joke. And so I would say to my grandparents, "Hey, you guys, when you guys were younger, did the dinosaurs like chase y'all around?" And of course, they just laughed so hard. So I did a similar joke, but I made it very targeted to like my aunt or whatever when I was staying with her. And so I said, "Oh," she mentioned like going bra shopping or something like that. And I was like, "Oh, they had bras in the 1970s?" And then I was like, I was expecting like a laugh or whatever because like that's a genuinely funny thing. Like, nobody's gonna think that that a kid actually doesn't think that bras were invented in 1970s. At least that's what I thought. She was so offended. Another thing that happened, um, she randomly like came up to me. I think I was just watching TV in a living room one day, after work, and she said, "Well, you just expect people to just take you as you are." And I was like, "What are you talking about? What's going on?" Like 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 I was really confused. I'm like, "Am I supposed to be transforming into someone else?" Like, I didn't know like what the response was, and so I was just absolutely stunned. I didn't say anything back or anything, just to like be respectful or whatever, but I didn't know where it came from, and I just, I was just mad confused. So that was the second scenario. Third scenario, I'm sitting in the living room again. Cause like the living room is like a chill out spot. So everybody's there, watching TV, chilling, eating dinner or whatever, snack or whatever, typically after work. So she comes up to me and she's like, "Well, you just think you're too good." And I'm just like, "What does that mean? What does that mean?" And I'm racking my brain, and I'm like, does she mean like this? Is she like calling me bougie, or is she like saying that I'm too good, like in my behavior? Like, I try to keep my behavior on the up and up. And to be honest with you, I really think that she was talking about the second one, because in front of me, she knows my sister and I, because my sister stayed there too. My sister and I grew up in a household where my grandfather was a preacher. I'm not gonna say the full title. I'm just gonna say preacher. And so when we moved there, she knew that we knew about her background. And so she wanted to prove that she was Holy Ghost filled, sanctified, all that stuff. And so promise you, this woman went to church 3 times a week, and she was in 3 different gospel choirs. I I went to church at least twice a week growing up, pretty much for the most part, from up until like age 17. That's when I went off to college. But I promise you, I was exhausted going to church three times a week. That is crazy. Like, 3 times a week is like, maybe like in middle school, we went to Sunday service, we went to prayer meeting, and then we went to choir rehearsal on Saturday. So Sunday service, prayer meeting on Wednesday, Saturday choir rehearsal. That's like the max that I went to church. But she was doing this every single week in her adult life. And I was just like, how do you find the time to have a full blown career, corporate America career, challenging job and still do that's a lot. And I'm like, what are you trying to prove? So to come from someone, for someone to say, "Oh, you think you're too good, like my behavior is too good, like I try to be good all the time." I'm like, "Well, you're the one going to church all the time. Like why is someone living a upright, integral, being a good person, like why is that a bad thing? Like why are you looking at me as a bad why are you looking at this behavior coming from me as a bad thing? Like me trying to be good. Like how is that bad? How is that offending you?" Anyway, I finally put together that this woman just really does not. She don't like me. I don't know what I did. I tried so hard to like try to figure it out, like have heart to hearts and stuff like that. And to be honest with you, those conversations just went left, and it just made her even more upset with me. And eventually, I stopped trying and I moved out. But if you all were recruited by this particular family member of mine to gang stalk me, to silence me, to shadow ban me, I want you to know some of the actual history behind the relationship that we have and the feeling she has behind me. I mean, for me, so that you can know that you're doing something towards an innocent person based on lies. I know that not everybody is comfortable with doing things to people who are innocent. Some people don't care. But I'm talking to the people who have a conscience, who, it kind of pulls at their heartstrings, it kind of messes them up. The fact that they could be doing something to someone innocent. So if this is you, you're doing something to someone innocent if you were recruited by her. If you were recruited by her. All right. So I'm just dropping this here. Peace.